Hi, everybody. I'm Brittany Lewis, a breaking news reporter here at Forbes. Joining me now is Jeremy Bogajski, senior editor covering aerospace here at Forbes. Jeremy, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Ethical, legal, national security questions are abound after news broke that the royal family of Qatar planned to gift President Trump a luxury plane, a Boeing 747. And critics have said that the Qataris were giving this gift as a way to curry favor with the Trump administration and the White House. No such thing as a free lunch. There's no such thing as a free $400 million luxury plane. You're reporting, though, that there could be a different reason that the Qataris had for gifting the pricey present. Explain what that could be.
Sure. It seems very likely that one of the primary motivations is to curry favor with the Trump administration. But another consideration for the Qataris is this is a plane that they seem to have been trying to get rid of unsuccessfully. 747s been nicknamed the Queen of the Skies. They are grand planes, and this plane in particular, the 747-8, was the final version of the 747, the largest version. And this particular plane was lavishly decorated. It was it was bought and designed for a gentleman named Hamad bin Jassim bin Jabir Al Thani, who's a billionaire who served as the prime minister of Qatar in the earlier part of this century. Boeing officials, I've heard at the time, said that this was one of the most beautiful planes that they had ever seen. But times change, and the 747 and this type of flying palace in the sky has lost its luster. Four-engine planes like the 747 and the Airbus A340 use an extraordinary amount of fuel. They've become much more expensive as fuel prices have risen, and they've been going out of service with airlines in favor of more fuel-efficient planes, and that's also made them more expensive for those who have hung on to them. Maintenance has become more expensive as fewer of them are around. And there's also been more of an emphasis on discretion, less of an interest in making a big splash with these huge planes. All that to say that Qatar, along with many other wealthy Gulf royal families and governments, have been getting rid of their 747s. And Qatar previously gave away a very similar plane, a 747-8, to the president of Turkey in 2018. They also retired another 747 in the same year, 2018. This plane was put up for sale in 2020, and there were no takers. There's a very thin market for planes like this, partly due to changing customer demands, and also the fact that they're very highly customized and often to a particular person's taste. So another person may not like the style and doesn't want to both buy the plane and then put in tens of millions of dollars redecorating it. So one of the sadder examples of that is Saudi Arabia had also a very large fleet of 747s that was used by the royal family there. There was a plane, a 747, that was purchased and lavishly decorated for the late Crown Prince, who passed away in 2011. That plane only flew something like 42 hours. The Saudis were unable to find a buyer for it. It ended up being broken up for spare parts. With this 747, Giving the plane to the Trump administration is both a way for the Qataris to wash their hands of it and the expense of maintaining it, and at the same time score some points with President Trump.
I'm very interested into getting a glimpse of the inside of what you're describing here as the queen of the sky. Some of our colleagues, Dan Alexander and Kyle Conn-Mullins, who are both on the Money and Politics team here at Forbes, have described President Trump's jumbo jet obsession. So what are the details of the plane exactly here? Why would President Trump find it so attractive?
It was no expense was spared to decorate this plane. It was bought in 2012, and it spent the next 3 years being fitted out at a company called AMAC Aerospace. The interior was designed by a Parisian design firm, Cabinet Pinto, and the lead designer told the media a few years after the plane first flew that Hamad bin Jabir bin Jassim Al Thani had basically given them carte blanche to do what they wanted. Actually, at the time, his identity wasn't known. That only became public later on. But he apparently his only instructions were that he wanted it to be comfortable for his family, and that he wanted it to be classy. And they ended up coming up with a palette heavy on beige and tan, a lot of Art Deco influences. But they also said they were inspired by French saddle makers and that style of leather work. The plane has furnishings made of very expensive sycamore and wakapu wood, heavy use of silk and natural leathers. There's recessed lighting that creates a very nice kind of glow. It makes it look like some of the furnishings are floating. And there's very fancy custom rugs from Hong Kong, from Taiping. There's artwork from Alexander Calder. All the pictures that have been released of it, it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous plane.
Sounds like a beautiful plane. It's at the price point of around over $400 million. It would also alleviate some headaches.
Originally, right? But now, what is it worth? If they can't sell it, then I don't know that it's right to call it a $400 million.
So you don't think that's the right headline coming out of this? Then that it's worth $400 million plane? Really?
No. I mean, if no one's willing to buy it, that tells you something, that it's maybe not worth as much as was spent on it originally.
So this would alleviate, then you're saying, a few headaches for the Qataris. That this giant $400 million not worth plane just hanging over them like an albatross. It would also curry favor with the White House, paint them in a favorable light to the Trump administration. That's what they were hoping, at least. There's not a huge market for these planes, as you're saying. President Trump said the plane, he said it's a great gesture on behalf of the Qataris, and essentially only a stupid person would not accept this gift. You talked to some aerospace experts. What do they say?
It doesn't seem like such a simple case. It's one thing to get a plane for free, but to turn it into a plane that can carry the President of the United States, that takes a lot of spending and modifications. And there's been some sort of suggestion that perhaps this plane could be modified quickly and quicker than Boeing has been working on preparing the next pair of planes that are supposed to serve as Air Force One. President Trump is very frustrated with Boeing's progress on that contract, which was awarded during his first administration in 2018, $3.9 billion contract. And the planes were supposed to be delivered in 2024, and they are years late. Recently, they've been saying it may take until 2028, 2029. The requirements for a presidential plane are very, a lot of work is needed. There are special communication systems to allow the commander-in-chief to basically operate in the air as an airborne command center, stay in touch with U.S. troops in times of crisis. The electronics have to be shielded against an electromagnetic impulse in case there's a nuclear war, so that the electronics aren't fried. There are special defensive systems which aren't really made public. It's known that there's anti-missile systems. So it's a very complicated and expensive process to build a new Air Force One jet. And if this Qatari plane were to be roped in, well, Boeing is already many years down the line on the planes that it's supposed to deliver. It's unlikely that it would be any quicker to modify this Qatari jet unless a much lower level of security is accepted. And that doesn't seem like that would be a very wise move for President Trump or the United States.
I know, to your point, I was trying to do the math here of everything you're saying. It needs X, Y, and Z. Everything. That sounds like a pretty hefty price tag to fit this to be a presidential plane. As you said, Boeing is way down the line working on their presidential planes. Would this completely derail that process?
It certainly wouldn't help. One of the problems that Boeing has faced is that they have had a hard time getting enough qualified mechanics and other technicians who have security clearances to work on a project of this type. Now, the Trump administration has reportedly lined up L3 Harris to modify the Qatari plane. If L3 Harris is going to need the same kind of specialized workforce, well, that's going to then put another strain on the workforce. And the United States in general has a shortage of airplane mechanics, period, let alone ones who have security clearances.
So, based on your reporting, is it even possible that Trump doesn't see a new updated Air Force One during his second term?
It's certainly a possibility. President Trump tasked Elon Musk with working with Boeing to see if the project could be sped up. And an Air Force official testified before a hearing in Congress earlier this month that Boeing has now said that they think they could deliver the planes in 2027 if the Air Force were to relax some requirements. It's not clear exactly what requirements and if the Air Force is willing to do so. So there is a possibility that those planes that President Trump is so frustrated about, maybe they do end up being available for him. But it's also entirely possible that he continues to have to use the aging planes that first flew in the 1980s.
You don't think that this plane is worth $400 million? That's one of the big headlines, like we talked about earlier, because no one's buying it. So could it be worth that much if there's really not a market for it? You're our aerospace editor here. Do you think that there's anything else regarding this story missing from the national and really international dialogue when it comes to the Qataris potentially gifting Trump this plane, Trump potentially accepting it?
I think it's been picked apart pretty well. I spoke to one aerospace professional who thinks that Trump isn't really even serious about this Qatari plane either. He speculates that this is just a way for the president to put more pressure on Boeing to deliver. That's just speculation. But it seems highly unlikely to me, given the firestorm of criticism that has erupted over the ethics and the practicality that it will go forward.
Well, I certainly appreciate your reporting and your investigation here. Jeremy, thank you so much for joining me. You are welcome back anytime.
Well, thank you. It's been great talking to you.